my colleague from Tokyo Tech and also Bandung Institute of Technology and also the uh, Meteorological Agency of Indonesia to talk about our observation campaign on carbon dioxide. That actually we already started from the 10th ICUC, but with some difficulty, we only get a good amount of data from 2019. So this is the title of my talk today, and I will start with some introduction. So we know that carbon dioxide we consider as the main cause of global warming, and as we can see from the observation in the Mauna Loa, the background CO2 is increasing every year, and uh, cities, urban area where most of us live, is considered as the one of the main contributor of the CO2 emission. And keeping track of this emission is probably one way to know the how to develop a strategy to reduce it. However, most of the observation of CO2 were conducted in extratropical cities, more than 100. But even so, Professor Lina says, still need more. While we in the tropical, who live in tropical cities, there's not much. And we acknowledge and really appreciate the work of Professor Matthias Roth and his group, also Dr. Velasco, who initiate or as a pioneer in the urban CO2 measurement in tropical area, and that's inspire us to do also observation in Jakarta. So Jakarta is the capital city of Indonesia, and this kind of research never been done before. So and we would like to use this research as a reference or some suggestion to the government on how to reduce this. And Jakarta has currently regarded as mega cities in Southeast Asia because the population already reached 10 million, but it's crammed in only in 600 kilometers square, and it's projected to increase more by 2035. More than 2 million more people will live in this quite small city. And yeah, our observation, we conduct our observation in one the site in urban core area in Jakarta. We call LLH because the building owned by the Environmental Protection of Jakarta. The name is in Indonesian is Laboratorium Lingkungan Hidup. So we here and after we call it LLH, and we put a sensor, sonic anemometers, and open pad gas analyzers in on top of this building on a mast on a tower approximately maybe 7 meter from the top of the building. So makes the overall measurement height is around 29.3 meters. And here is the land cover in 1 kilometer radius around the observation area, and the observation is right in the middle here. And yeah, the surrounding of the site, mostly many buildings in the western side, but in the eastern side there's a large green area. Actually, this is cemetery, so this is grass with sparse trees, and in the southern area mostly residential houses, maybe only a 5 meter height. And yeah, this is a if you look at the in 300-degree direction, the composition of the how much building. So we can see that building mostly in the western area, while in the eastern area more greenery. And so the method, yeah, we use a similar method with previous talk. We estimate the fluxes using the covariance method. So fluxes is maybe you know that amount of quantity passing an area over certain time, and we can estimate this the vertical flux easily using the covariant methods, given that we have a high response sensors like the gas analyzer and sonic anemometers. And yeah, uh, to get the concentration probably straightforward, but for calculating flux, we need to care so much with the pre-processing and also maybe post-processing. So we, to ease that, we use already available software, the Edit Pro, and this is the option that we use in that software. So we do coordinate rotation, for example, and also uh, remove the spike and yeah, do some statistical tests before we actually calculate the fluxes. And yeah, we after that we also need to assure that the data, the quality of the data that we have is quite good. So many screening we conduct for this data set. For example, we only use the QC flag 0 and 1 according to the model and token quality flagging, and then also do some screening based on the urban aerodynamic condition around the observation area. So in this case, we estimated the roughness length and displacement height around the area using a Kanda method. And yeah, basically we found that this uh, western sector is problematic because we can see that uh, the mean wind speed is really underestimated in this area. So we discard the data set that when the wind come from this sector. But although you can see also here there is a high displacement height and roughness. But this is maybe one weakness of the method that we use. That when there is even a single very tall building, it tends to produce a very high displacement height. So, but if we check the mean wind and also the drag coefficient, it probably is not so problematic. So we still retain the data here. And we also check the frequency response of the measurement using the spectra and also the OGIT to see whether the window that we use is adequate. So I move with the result. So here is the monthly Diurnal result of the fluxes on the left and the concentration of the CO2 on the right. And yeah, you can see this gray area is where we missed the data, lost the data in the early period of the pandemic because the electricity is turned off in the building, so you cannot do anything about that. And yeah, you can see that the flux is changing so much from 2019 to the subsequent year, where there is a reduction, significant reduction, but probably not so much in the concentration. So we will, and here I highlight the period where during the pandemic they impose a strict social restriction and then change it to more relaxed in the 2022. We will go back to this later on. And here's the weekly pattern of the CO2 fluxes in Jakarta that we observe compared with the traffic density. So you can see that the pattern match really well, especially during the afternoon, but not maybe in the morning. In the morning, usually there's also a peak of the traffic. However, in the fluxes, we don't see any increase, which yeah, quite baffles us. And there is a differences between weekdays and weekend, where during weekend the peak usually slightly shift into like around 2 p.m. compared to the ordinary weekday, where the peak usually occur during the rush time when people go back to their home from the office. It's around 18. Yeah, and this is the concentration, which doesn't show significant different pattern from day to day if we compare with the pattern of the CO2 fluxes. And here's the typical pattern, or the diurnal typical pattern, that we found that there is a peak in the afternoon, but there's no peak in the morning, which may be different from place to place. If you compare with Professor Roth's observation in Singapore, for example, there is a two peak, one in the morning and one in the evening. So first we thought that probably it's because the turbulence is not developed yet in the morning. However, if we see the stability parameter is Z over Obuchov length, we can see that the turbulence already developed in the morning. So probably that's not the cause of it. So we check the influence of the prevailing wind, so the direction of the wind. So in Jakarta, in the surface location, the wind is mainly driven by the sea and then breeze. As you can see here in the morning, tends to move from south to north, and in the afternoon from north to south. So we checked that when the northerly wind dominant, uh, the amount of the flux increase. And yeah, furthermore, we also take in the morning. If we collect the day when the morning wind is mainly northerly, we see the morning peak here. That's yeah, conclude that yeah, direction is important in this case. And this is the result of the CO2 concentration, and it's similar to with other cities, Singapore, Tokyo, for example, where the peak is in the morning. And we checked with several variables, and we found that the boundary layer height have a strong relationship with this concentration. And you can see here, this is the uh, uh, daily mean of CO2, and compare with the daily mean boundary layer height that we took from the era 5 boundary layer height, and we found that it's matched very well, and the mean also in the daily mean also matched with the inverse of the boundary layer height with very high correlation. And we also interest in the impact of the COVID-19. So during the strict social restriction, we saw that there is a significant reduction in the flux, uh, almost more than 50% compared to the period before the pandemic. But we don't see that differences in the concentration. So we wonder that reduction in the flux doesn't give a reduction in the concentration. So we also see that the long-term condition match the background very well. Yeah. So I will stop my talk now and give some remark. But last in the last my remark, I will give this to the government that they need to uh, reduce the amount of CO2 now, because it will take more time if we want to reduce it in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Julie. Any question from the audience?
Thanks for a very interesting presentation. I was interested in your CO2 concentration measurements, and you see that build up overnight that's related to the boundary layer height. In a lot of other cities, we tend to see the morning rush hour in a smallish peak from the afternoon rush hour, and I was wondering if the reason that it looks a little different in Jakarta is that if there's a really significant CO2 flux from the biosphere, so you're really seeing a strong signal of that biosphere flux in the concentrations. Do I have that?
Uh, yeah, we also thought about that, but yeah, we just started this. How can I say, this kind of research? So we don't go yet into the, for example, net ecosystem exchange. Just see how the flux and the concentration. So we also believe that there is a contribution, for example, from the vegetation. But up to this point, I cannot answer how much is that. So probably I will talk to Professor Lina later on to see how the effectiveness of the trees in the cities in reduce the CO2 concentration, but also how much it will be given, especially during probably nighttime when it uh, in the respiration phase. So, thank you very much for your question.
Thank you. To follow up on that part of the discussion, uh, I think the measurement height of the CO2 is also a big factor itself, and also the nocturnal boundary height is also comes to play into that. So, what is the height of the measurements, the CO2 measurements there?
The total height from the ground is around 29.3 meters.
Well, that's pretty shallow. That is always in the surface layer, right? So,
Yes.
so that doesn't actually go to the CO2 rise due to the surface layer mixing to the top of the tower level and then bring a nocturnal CO2 to the tower. Again, tall towers have that effect. So you don't have that. So I think in the boundary layer dilution itself and the biospheric flux is a combination what you see the afternoon peak, afternoon and low minimum there, right? So I think traffic and boundary layer height and also the biospheric fluxes, it's actually a combination of that, the trend what she was mentioning itself. So that's a comment that way. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.